Again, excellent sense of geography here. Many people have noted that Miyazaki perfectly encapsulates the human experience through the way he animates his characters. Miyazaki does an excellent job at characterizing his characters through little quirks and behaviors. These additions are usually excessive, but they add to the experience. I mention this because in this scene, it's very simple. It's these suit sprites giving Chihiro back her socks and shoes for her to put on. She puts them on and she leaves. It's that simple.
Thank you.
Yet Miyazaki and his team go out of their way to animate the process of her not only putting their socks and shoes on, but also add in this little detail of her slightly tapping her shoes to see if they're comfortable. This little detail didn't need to be in the movie, yet it makes Chihiro feel more believable as a character. And it goes to show that Miyazaki really understands children. I mean, it helped that he literally based Chihiro off of his own niece. I think it was his niece. Speaking of family, Miyazaki was also inspired by his visits to this family home in which he would visit his family relatives, including his niece. I mention this because there's a scene with a particular environmental theme to it that comes up much later in this movie. But for now, the little coal sprites say bye-bye. Chihiro responds and leaves. Yet little character moments like that are not the only things Miyazaki loves to add in his movies. There's also periods throughout his movies where people can just breathe for a few moments. By allowing a few moments where there isn't too much happening, usually transitioning from one scene to another, Miyazaki treats us to these scenes with these beautiful landscapes, where the characters can just pause and just think. By enabling scenes like this, the audience gets the time to really soak in the situation, the emotions, what's happening, which in turn adds to the theme of reflection sprinkled throughout this movie, adding to the poignancy. These slow-paced excessive scenes can be seen all throughout Miyazaki's works. He refers to them as ma, silence. Miyazaki described ma like this. If you have frequent clapping without any breaks, you're not giving your audience enough time to think. A lot of Western movies do this nowadays. Not that there's anything wrong with a lot of them, but most of them don't really take the chance to have that sense of maturity to let the audience think, because they're afraid of boring their audience. So they think constant distraction will ease their attention, you know? But ma is described as clapping, but with large spaces in between. Notice the spaces in between the claps. Notice how you got the ability to just think and soak in what happened when there was a pause. By enabling these pauses described with these claps and applying them to the movies, you soak in the themes that the director is trying to convey to his audience. But even if you're not thinking too critically about what's going on, you at least get the chance to feel what's happening emotionally, psychologically, spiritually. How are the characters feeling? What's going through their minds at this moment? How are they fitting into the grander picture of existence? These slow-paced moments also have the advantage of adding to Miyazaki's sense of geography in establishing the environment, slowing down to give the characters and the audience a sense of direction, objection, ambition. And it's here we meet this strange spirit again. The same spirit seen in the bridge earlier. Chihiro walks by, politely bows, and moves on. Spooky!
Hello there.
To think the team went out of their way to paint all those flowers and the bushes and everything else. Yeah, pretty self-explanatory. It's a very beautiful movie. Haku takes Chihiro to the pig house, giving her the chance to see her parents, and she promises her parents that she will find a way to get them out. She will find a way to get her parents out of their pig-like curses. So in the meantime, don't get eaten. Chihiro is in a mood. Haku gives Chihiro her clothes, the clothes he originally had. Now here we delve deep into the themes of identity. It's this scene in particular that establishes the themes of identity. The first form of identity given here are Chihiro's clothes that she wore before she came to work. Haku says Chihiro will need her clothes to get back home. Chihiro notices that her goodbye card that she kept from her friends is still there. She notices her name, Chihiro. Chihiro says, Chihiro, that's my name, isn't it? Haku reveals that the method that Yubaba uses to control people is by stealing their names. Hold on to that card. Keep it hidden. While she acknowledges she has to name herself Sen in order to survive, she's quite astonished that she'd forgotten her name this quickly. Haku says, if you completely forget your name, you'll never find your way home. And Haku has completely forgotten his name. Yet Haku notes that for some reason, he remembers Chihiro's name. Right afterwards, Haku offers her food to eat. Chihiro refuses at first, but Haku insists that he put a spell on the food to give her strength. You numpty! I don't need your magic to give me strength. I got protein, son! Yeah. Just eat it! Oh! Well, don't you know that other kids are starving in Japan, so eat it! Just eat it! Chihiro eats it, and she sheds buckets of tears. Okay, maybe that's an exaggeration. It must be the stress of the situation getting to her. Either way, Haku's by her side. Piano music adds to the sense of solemnness. So why is this particular scene key to understanding the themes of identity throughout this movie? Well, let's note the following phrases which are key to understanding the themes of identity. Names. Well, the key aspect to understanding the themes of identity in this movie is the use of names. A name is an entitlement of who you are. You were given a name to give you a sense of identity. You were given a name for identity. With names, people can identify with each other. With names, you have this innate personhood. And when that name's taken away from you, that personhood is gone. Now, the reason for your name being taken away is either you're someone like Clint Eastwood being the man with no name, in that you don't reveal your name to anybody out of secrecy. But in the context of this situation, names are taken away from people to treat them as objects. It's like if I named a friend named Larry as a stool to sit on and nothing more. I'd rightly be seen as a jerk. But if I kept treating Larry as a stool to sit on and nothing more, I would be suppressing my consciousness, suppressing that sense of accountability to serve my own ends. So again, when people lose their identity in the case of this movie, they're more prone to give in to other people who will use them for their own ends of greed. Of course, there's also another option in which somebody could have innocently have not been given a name at all due to poor circumstances. It's probable. This movie establishes a danger in losing that innate personhood, in losing our ability to relate to others, losing that ability to treat people as people. Without getting into the disgusting subject matter mentioned earlier, bathhouses in Japan tend to treat people as objects, but not so much as people. Of course, I'm open to the possibility that that could have changed over the years, but knowing Miyazaki and what he's grown up with, it wouldn't surprise me, given the themes of anti-corporation, that Miyazaki is completely against treating other people as objects, but rather Miyazaki is advocating for treating people as actual souls with dignity, and not just objects used as a means to an end. So perhaps Chihiro is crying for tears of freedom, perhaps. Perhaps this is just a release to be vulnerable from such a hard place. Life can get cruel if you treat people as objects, rather than actual people. Although for some it would be convenient. But this movie also addresses that convenience for pleasure and greed ultimately builds up to nothing. How so? Well, we'll just watch the movie and find out. Haku brings Chihiro back to the workplace, promising her he will return. He'll be back. Thank you, Haku. You're a good friend. She runs off to work. She notices that Haku has disappeared and has flown off as a dragon? That same strange spirit from before notices Chihiro going back to work. Oh, this seems really sweet. Kamaji wakes up to drink some tea and then notices Chihiro's fast asleep. And Kamaji gives her a blanket. That's so sweet! The main theme is kind of cut off as we go back to work. Uh-oh, it's raining. I mean, rain causes things to grow. But rain is often associated with bad things happening, although rain can often be also associated with a sense of endurance, by which afterwards you grow after the experience. On this stormy night, something big's coming. Nighttime approaches, and the lanterns light up again. Right, everybody to work! Clocking in? Yeah, I'm familiar with that. Several girls are working hard and swiftly, but Chihiro is lagging behind. In case it wasn't obvious that Chihiro's never had a working day in her life, it should be obvious now. Working day? Should I say working night?
Haven't you ever worked a day in your life?
Nope.
Frogman approaches Lynn here and says, "You're in charge of the big baths." Lynn notes, "Hey, that's for the frogmen." "Well, too bad," the frogman says. "The higher-ups told me to get you and Chihiro to the big bath, so hop to it." I think that's indicating that Yubaba has a grudge against Chihiro the human. Chihiro pours a bucket outside. "A bucket? There is more." "No!" The same spirit that Chihiro notices from before is now standing outside. He seems happy to see her. Chihiro sympathizes that he must be getting wet outside. Chihiro sympathizes with the fact that the spirit must be getting wet outside. So, out of the kindness of her heart, she makes that life-altering choice to leave the door open so that the spirit can step inside. The spirit steps inside. The big tub that Lynn and Chihiro have to clean up is in a terrible heap. You know, it's been a while since I've seen this movie. Ever since then, I've had a job as a linen porter and currently working as a domestic assistant. Yeah, I can definitely relate to a cleaning job. Lynn and Chihiro get to work. Lynn notes that the big bath is only used for really filthy guests. Lynn suggests to Chihiro to get an herbal soap token to help clean up the bath. As Yubaba is examining her riches, she notices something's coming. But what could it be? The other spirits close their doors. There's the something, all right. A very disgusting-looking something. Chihiro insists on getting the specific bath token, but this man says, "No way, Jose," paraphrasing. "It's a duck!" There doesn't seem to be much hope for Chihiro. Again, these people have really personal grudges against humans. The spirit that Chihiro let in comes in to help. She acknowledges that spirit is there. It seems that the spirit can go invisible, and hands over the specific soap token, and hands over the specific bath token to Chihiro. "Thank you very much," Chihiro says. Lynn congratulates Chihiro for her efforts and shows her how to use the token system. She says the tokens goes to Kamaji, who then provides the necessary water. As such. Sploosh! Yeah, that ought to get it clean. When Lynn goes to get some breakfast, Chihiro notices the same spirit again. The spirit approaches Chihiro. Chihiro says that the bath isn't ready yet. She notices that the spirit has provided plenty of bath tokens. The spirit makes faint noises as he makes a gesturing posture. The spirit, with small sounds, makes small gestures to Chihiro, as if he wants her to take them. All the soap tokens are intended for her. She says thanks, but she doesn't need any more. The spirit continues to make a very insistent sound, as if the spirit was trying to win some kind of friendship. So the spirit disappears, dropping all the soap tokens. There is a stink spirit that approaches the bathhouse. Many people don't want the stink spirit to enter, but he's coming in anyway.
Stop! You really don't want to ruin the Swedish chef's ingredients. Oh boy.
Yubaba has a grudge that this stink spirit isn't a stink spirit. The customers are encouraged to go back to their rooms, and the employees get ready. Here Yubaba sets all her hopes on Chihiro. Here Yubaba places Chihiro with the duty to clean up the stink spirit. So don't mess this up, the stink spirit's messy enough as he is. So Yubaba allows the stink spirit to come in, with the promise of a great reward. And oh my. Perhaps many of you and myself are glad we're not experiencing this in 4D. With the film, we're restricted to sight and sound. But boy, if we could come close to making the viewer experience smell through watching a film, I think Miyazaki comes close. The way the stench spirit just wrenches up the place, the reactions of the characters. Even Yubaba's getting shaken up by this. Even Yubaba's getting shaken by this. Chihiro tries to hold her nose, but Yubaba insists, hands down, you'll insult our guest. Now, knowing what happens, Yubaba has this end goal of cash in mind. But she does have her good quirks. Leadership, cooperation, manners. Well, aside from the whole taunting and using her witchcraft to turn people into pigs. And it seems this is one of those rare scenarios where good people, bad people, and anywhere in between people come together for a common goal. Oh, gross. I don't know if I've told you this before, but I have a strong sense of smell. I don't think I'd like to be in this circumstance. Take the nice customer's money. Look at that animation. Miyazaki perfectly encapsulates that feeling of something that's so disgusting it just sends chills up your body. This way, sir. The stink spirit stinks so badly. The breakfasts rot away at the mere presence of it. The stink spirit enters the bath. It has minimal effect on him. The bath's not quite working on him. So Chihiro uses the bath tokens she was given by that spirit earlier to send them to Kamaji to refill the tub. Oh man, it's gotta stink. Oh man, that's gotta stink. Oh man, that's gotta stink. The tub's being refilled. The tub's being refilled. The best herbal formula. The stink spirit helps Chihiro out and brings Chihiro near the center of the problem. And Chihiro notices some kind of thing on his side. Chihiro calls out to Lin that he needs help, that there's a thorn on his side. Yeah, the Apostle Paul can relate to that. Alright, the Apostle Paul can relate to that. Yubaba tells her staff to come down, and suggests to Chihiro and Lin her suspicions that this is no stink spirit. She summons a rope, by which Lin helps Chihiro to tie onto the thorn. All the staff grabs the rope, and they heave very tightly. Everyone gives it their all, and the customers support them. The thorn slowly comes out, and it's revealed to be a bicycle. This confirms Yubaba's suspicions, and they pull even further now. And the whole heaps and piles of trash come bursting forth. Human trash. Heaps of it. And lastly, pulling out a fishing rod. Isn't that a satisfying sound? The spirit protects Chihiro and washes away all the filth. All that human filth. The spirit that turned out to be a river spirit says, well done to Chihiro. Okay, sorry, let me be more specific. Well done. Yeah, I think that's more accurate. As a token of thanks, the river spirit gives Chihiro this little ball. Chihiro had completed her task. Okay, not all the trash is quite washed away. But the river spirit is also generous enough to give lots of gold as a token of thanks. It's always fascinating when CGI and traditional animation come in harmony together. The river spirit is freshened and clean once more. The river spirit is now clean, and he leaves happily. And everyone celebrates. Even the radish spirit. Even Yubaba's thankful. She's probably more glad that they made so much money, but still. Yubaba says that that river spirit was rich and powerful. Food is on the house tonight, but all the gold should come to her. Needless to say, all the employees are disappointed in not being fulfilled in riches. The spirit here takes note of that. There's a lot of deep symbolism in that whole stink spirit cleansing scene I just mentioned. Primarily, Miyazaki was highly inspired by this one incident. Most significantly, Hayao Miyazaki was highly inspired by this one incident in which he and his family cleaned up a river. So all the details such as having the bicycle and cleaning out all the other junk and rubbish from the river, all that was inspired by a real event that happened in Miyazaki's life. And of course, this ties back into Miyazaki's love for environmental topics within his movies. Note that Miyazaki is a master storyteller, and he knows when to be obvious and when to be subtle. The environmental themes here are more on the subtle side as far as Miyazaki movies go, because the primary theme of this movie is identity and the corruption from greed. All the other themes and motifs either add to those themes of identity and greed, or just cherries on top. The environmental themes are put into the story in a nuanced way, because primarily the story is about Chihiro does her job. She helps Spirit, everyone's successful, and respects Chihiro now. Or at least respect her a bit more than they used to. If you're paying attention, however, you probably have noticed by now, and this is quite important later on, that the spirits are interlinked between the human world and their world. With this scene, it's implied that anything that happens to them in the human world has a big impact on their state in the spirit world. In this case, the river spirit suffered from so much human neglection. All the waste of the world just being tossed into that river without any concern for the river's well-being and health, choking up the environment. Just like how consumerism chokes up identity. This scene in turn refers back to the Shintoism themes prevalent throughout this movie. For those who are unfamiliar with Shintoism, it is a Japanese folk religion which emphasizes importance between the harmony between nature and man. If the environment is healthy, then so is man. If man is healthy, then so is the environment. The environment and man both need each other in a delicate balance. Of course, the environment could thrive without man, and Miyazaki has expressed a desire for the environment and its beauty to take over from the corrupt consumerism of man. Miyazaki knows the damage that man can do to nature. At the same time, Miyazaki acknowledges that man is capable of doing so much good with what technology they can build. Technology has been a recurring theme throughout Miyazaki's other movies like Castle in the Sky. Most significantly, technology plays a vital part in discussing themes of flight, especially in one of Miyazaki's masterpieces, The Wind Rises. So, upon reflection, I've just realized that the river spirit flying away is a sign of freedom, because flight is a common motif for freedom and wonder throughout Miyazaki's movies. So Chihiro and Lin are chilling out after their hard work, and Lin gives Chihiro a dumpling. They briefly mention Haku. Lights go out and they witness the beautiful night. During this slow-paced moment, we get our first glimpse of the music track, The Sixth Station, followed by the train. We've been seeing the train often throughout the movie, and its sound was one of the first things Chihiro noticed when entering the spirit world. Perhaps this was a metaphor for how she was transported in, or perhaps the train just always symbolized this journey we go on. Either way, the train was always there, hurling by in the background. There's so much water, it looks like the train is going over the sea. To be expected after all that rain, mind you. Lin expresses a deep desire. Lin expresses the long-term desire to get on that train to get away from this workplace someday. So now the train is seen as a symbol of hope. A means to get away from all the busyness. The music makes us deeply reflective. As Chihiro eats her dumpling, and looks at this little ball that the river spirit gave her. She notices that the little ball that the river spirit gave to her is digestible. She takes one small bite, and it's absolutely revolting. So understandably, she eats away at her dumpling to make up for that. How odd of the river spirit to give her a disgusting little ball. But again, all things come around in the end.
I need more funds for the Muppet Show. I should see if there's leftover gold from the river spirit we cleaned. It's not easy being green. Alright, come to Papa. Where could that gold be? It's not that. Oh? Aha! There's the gold. Now the Muppet theme park will become a reality if I keep this up. Who are you?
That strange spirit from before offers the frog more gold. Seemingly, the spirit can make gold just like that. Just like that? Not like that, just like that!
Oh wow, the funds are increasing. Are you being awfully generous with your sense of charity?
Once again, the strange spirit makes those strange, soft, insistent noises.
Wait, you can make gold? Man, if I keep this up, I'll get more gold than the treasure in Muppet Treasure Island. Hooray!
But the greedy frog gets a bit more than he bargained for, as the strange spirit grabs the frog and eats and consumes the greedy frog. Gobble, gobble. Munch, munch. Well, he doesn't really gobble and munch him, just swallows him whole. Another member of staff comes along to curiously investigate what's going on, and he too is offered more gold.
Hi, boss, I'm here.
It seems that this strange spirit pulls off a Kirby by transforming into whoever he consumes. In this case, his appearance is more frog-like, and he even speaks like said greedy frog.
I'm hungry, starving, and I want you to serve me.
The staff manager even says he even recognizes that voice.
Here, I'll pay you up front. And I want to take a bath too. Why don't you wake everyone up?
Here we're beginning to see the implications that Chihiro inviting that strange spirit into the bathhouse will have its consequences. We still don't know the full extent of this strange spirit's ambitions yet, but judging by the themes and what happens later on, we can determine what's going on inside that strange spirit's mind. Chihiro figures out that that strange, disgusting ball that the river spirit gave to him Chihiro figures out that that strange, disgusting ball that the river spirit gave to her could potentially heal her parents. But which of the pigs are her parents? Who are they then? Come to think of it, I wonder what other unfortunate victims came about in that park, eh? Although, come to think of it, what other unfortunate victims came by this strange land of the spirits and consumed the food and turned them into pigs, eh? Perhaps some teenagers daring each other for some stupid prank. Perhaps it's some child who got too curious. Perhaps it was a couple trying to make love in the wrong place. All these possibilities, just now being implied as I think about it. Ominous, eh? Chihiro wakes up. Oh no, it's all a dream. She must have overslept. All the other employees have gone to work. This gives Chihiro another quiet moment, or another moment. She notices the waters expand to the horizon, as if it really were the sea. She acknowledges that she hopes her mum and dad are doing all right at the pig pen. Judging by the chimney, Kamaji lit the boiler already. We then see everybody's busy, putting their full efforts into this one guest. Lin approaches Chihiro, saying that this guest has real gold. She says a new guest is giving gold away by the handful. Clearly something that everyone else has been desperate for. All of them are serving this guest that eats and eats and eats and eats and eats. And getting some hair. And eats and eats and eats. Like some kind of millionaire with an eating disorder or something. Everyone's desperate for more money, and everyone's greedy. And this strange spirit keeps consuming and gets bigger and bigger by the moment.
Just keep the food coming. I'll eat everything.
Lin insists that Chihiro join her in the work, but Chihiro insists on looking for Haku. Ugh, not again. So whilst almost the entire staff is obsessed of getting all the gold, Chihiro has more nobler ambitions. She's trying to look for a friend. Wondering where Haku is, she has a quiet moment to herself. Then something does appear. Do you see how Ma works quite well in building up the atmosphere? And then you pay more attention to when something does occur? Chihiro notices Haku in his dragon form, and she notices Haku is being chased by these flying paper figures. Apparently, as Haku got back, he brought some paper company with him, giving him some serious paper cuts. Incoming! Haku could fight back, but he's badly hurt. So Chihiro makes a way for Haku to barge in. Chihiro barely just closes the door on time before all the paper figures catch up. A thought's just occurred to me. What about all those paper cuts that the animators had to go through? Haku is bleeding. Badly. But Haku storms off. Some of Haku's blood gets on Chihiro's hand. Haku seems to be trying to enter somewhere. Chihiro notices he went through a top window, and she wants to help him before he bleeds to death. Although Chihiro doesn't notice that one of the paper figures from before gets up and follows Chihiro. Here we get the John Ratzenberger cameo, if you're watching the English version.
Welcome to Richmond. It's hard for you to miss. His butt keeps getting bigger, so there's plenty there to kiss. Oh, everybody bow down.
The strange spirit is now an indulgent being. Chihiro tries to make her way through the crowd, trying to help Haku. She's trying to get to the elevator, but she bumps into somebody. Perhaps he would have got Chihiro into trouble if he wasn't caught off guard by the blood that got in his hand from what Chihiro had touched. Chihiro turns the corner and encounters the strange spirit from before. She thanks the guest for helping her earlier. The strange spirit pushes one of his hosts out of the way, clearly indicating that he wants to speak with her. Clearly indicating that he wants to do something with her, apparently. It appears that he's trying to win her affection in some way, as he creates heaps of gold in the palms of his hand, all for Chihiro. The strange spirit seems happy for Chihiro to take the gold, and notably reverting back to his more quiet, insistent noises. Maybe that's his way of being more, affectionate? Although the way I see it, before he started consuming that frog and all the food, he seemed to struggle to speak. Perhaps this could represent some kind of social anxiety of not really knowing how to talk. But then when you're surrounded by other people and you're in certain circumstances, you put up these walls in your heart. You act more confident. But then when you encounter that same person you're trying to reach out to, you revert back to your vulnerable state again. Perhaps. Either way, the strange spirit insists that Chihiro takes the gold. But Chihiro says that she doesn't want any. But thanks. Chihiro says she doesn't want any of the gold, but she thanks the strange spirit anyway. The strange spirit seems heartbroken at this choice Chihiro made. She didn't accept his gift for her. Chihiro Chihiro thanks the strange spirit, but she's in a hurry. As Chihiro makes her way to the top tower, everyone else scrambles for the gold that the strange spirit dropped in his heartbroken state. In his sadness, the emptiness he feels increases. To make up for this emptiness that the strange spirit feels, the strange spirit turns to consuming more of his hosts and the other guests.
Wipe that stupid smile off your face. You're still smiling.
Upon looking through this film, I've just noticed a little detail again. A piece of gold is dropped, and this girl here is just immediately grabbing the gold. The greed. One of the 7 deadly sins is crazy here. No wonder this woman got caught. Showing more of a monstrous side now, as he keeps consuming, much to everyone else's horror. As he consumes more, he begins to take a more abysmal shape. Meanwhile, Chihiro gets outside, pulls off a Nathan Drake, and finds the bravery to run along a pipe right as it's about to fall and grabs the ladder on time. Clearly, her bravery and sense of responsibility have deeply increased.
The force is strong with this one.
She feels a strange tap from the paper figure. Not that she knows what it is. Not that she knows the paper figure's there. But the paper figure noted that Yubaba was coming. With a special delivery. Look at those sunglasses. Flap, flap, flap. Wait. Chihiro then tries to get through a window. But she only manages to get in with the help of this paper figurine. Little girl. She makes her way through Yubaba's places. She makes her way through Yubaba's place. And finds herself in the room of the big baby. Now here we begin to see a character who contrasts. Here we are introduced to... It's here that Chihiro enters the baby's room. It's in this scene we're going to see just how much Chihiro has grown. As the baby not only serves as another obstacle to get through, but also serves as a comparison of who Chihiro used to be compared to who she is now. And already we're getting hints of what kind of life this baby lives. Rich, playful, and spoiled. The paper figure forms itself into some kind of hearing aid. If you are paying attention to what she was saying, she acknowledges that the guest they've been treating is actually a no-face. She tells her staff not to let no-face eat anyone else until she gets down, and acknowledges that Haku is bleeding all over the carpet. So Haku is there and she needs to get to him. In the meantime, she goes to her baby. Hide, 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 hide! Uh-oh, tension's rising. This big baby is underneath a pile of cushions. Hiding under the cushions again and crying when exposed. Yubaba clearly cares for the baby, though maybe endorsing a bit too much indulgence. I mean, this place has all the quirks for a baby, right? Chihiro is just about to leave when inconveniently, the big baby grabs her arm. The baby talks and worries that Chihiro came to make her sick. She claims Chihiro is a germ and that it's dangerous to go outside. So the baby insists that Chihiro stays and plays with him. Chihiro says, "You won't get sick," but the baby says, "Yes, you will, that's why he's never left this room." A character who's afraid of going outside their comfort zone? Does this sound familiar? But Chihiro says back, "Staying in this room is what will make you sick." Yeah, tell that to most of the people under the lockdown. That was a bit too soon, wasn't it? Yeah, tell that to all the people under lockdown. That joke didn't quite land, did it? Chihiro shows concern for Haku, says, "Listen, someone very dear to me is very hurt." So not only is Chihiro acting on responsibility, she's also showing increasing signs of empathy. And responsibility and empathy make a wholesome person, and are the keys to defying indulgent greed. Chihiro is essentially looking at a mirror of who she used to be. A whiny, indulgent, big baby.
If you go, I'll cry.
If we do most things, you'll cry anyway. That's the way babies work. If we do most things, babies cry anyway.
Play with me or I'll break your arm. I want to play now.
Chihiro remembers she has blood on her hand. The blood of Haku. She uses this to startle the baby and escape. "I got germs!" She barges into the room. The heads were trying to nudge Haku in his dragon form into this pit. I think it leads to the boiler of Kamaji. "Haku, can you hear me?" The spy bird attacks her. And to make matters more awkward, the baby comes barging in. Just to make things more awkward, the baby comes out. That doesn't sound quite right.
I'm not afraid of germs.
Says the big baby who freaked out at the sight of germs. "Don't cry for me, ginormous baby. The truth is I need to revive Haku. All through my work days, spirited away. Please don't be so whiny, you big, big baby." Then Chihiro notices that strange paper figurine float by, and she hears a voice similar to Yubaba's saying, "What a spoiled baby. What a spoiled brat." Now, let me be more persistent.
What a spoiled brat.
Shut your big mouth. You're a bit of a porker, aren't you? Arising from the paper figurine is a vision, an apparatus. The baby thinks that this is his mama, Yubaba. But this woman confirms he's a completely different character by saying,
You pea-brain, can't you even tell me from your own mother?
and this woman transforms the baby into a mouse.
There now, your body matches your brain.
This woman then turns the spy bird into a cute wee fly. The three heads are then turned into the baby. The strange woman introduces herself as Zeniba, Yubaba's twin sister. Zeniba insists that Chihiro hands Haku over to her. Apparently, Haku stole Zeniba's solid gold seal, and it contains powerful magic. Chihiro again insists that Haku is a good person, quite considerate, and probably consistent, given how she kept wishing to herself that Haku was a fully good person, yet it was hinted at throughout this entire movie that Haku has some fundamental flaws he needs to overcome. I mentioned earlier, Haku appears to be climbing up this hierarchy ladder. And if Haku really did steal that golden seal, then he really was trying to attain power. Zeniba questions. Zeniba challenges Chihiro by asking, have you ever wondered how Haku came to be Yubaba's assistant in the first place? To steal her magic secrets. Haku apparently joined Yubaba to steal her magic secrets. And now apparently Haku's doing the same thing to Zeniba. He's a greedy little thief, Zeniba proclaims. Ah, greed. So greed is the problem behind his flaws. Again, according to this movie and its themes, especially when looking at it through the perspective of Shintoism, greed destroys a person, devours them from the inside out. Always wanting power, always wanting indulgence, but never satisfying that hunger. Greed seeks out the short-term pleasure, but the short-term pleasure comes and goes. So the moment it's over, you'll hunger for more. So if we're going to fill that spiritual hole inside of us, it can't be anything oriented around greed. It has to be something meaningful. Something that makes us more responsible, more empathetic towards others. Instead of indulging in a comfort zone, only caring about the self. Soon after this scene, the film will imply themes of love. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be romantic, mind you. But love is the key. Love is one of many means to overcome greed. And a powerful method it is too, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Zeniba says that there's a spell on the seal, and if Zeniba says there's a spell on that seal, and anyone who steals the seal will die. Anyone who steals the seal will seal their fate. If there's any appeal to steal the seal, they'll seal their fate. Shenanigans happen. The baby, who's now a mouse, and the spy bird, who's now a fly, comes by Chihiro's shoulder. Haku wakes up. Okay, maybe not wake up, but regains some strength. Once again, Miyazaki's quirky imagination is at play as Haku slices that paper figurine in half, distorting Zeniba's form of contact.
Oh, a paper cut.
Chihiro holds on to Haku as much as she can, but she and him, and Baby Mouse and Fly, fall down the pit, as they fall down into a dark chasm. Yet something strange happens. The moment Chihiro grabs onto Haku's horn, she sees something. Something akin to being submerged underwater. They continue falling down into a pit filled with spirits. And no, not the alcoholic kind, I'm afraid. Spirited. Chihiro holds on, and Haku gains the strength to fly off. As they fly, away from the pit that led to that pit of spirits, they take a shortcut which leads them straight to Kamaji's boiler room. Cute. Haku is clearly injured, and is not in a good state. Kamaji notes it looks as if Haku is bleeding from the inside. Kamaji suspects that he swallowed something. It seems that there really is a golden seal that Haku stole, which he apparently ate. Chihiro decides to use the disgusting ball she used to cure him. Fun fact about this particular scene, to make the scene more immersive, the animators referred to times when they had to feed their dogs, just with that extra slice of realism. Even the suit spirits are quite immersed. And here, it seems that the roles of Chihiro and Haku have reversed since the beginning of this movie. Another nice contrast to see how far Chihiro has grown. Because at first, Chihiro was afraid. Alone. Then Haku came along and gave her a cherry to eat. And she lived. Now Chihiro is helping Haku to eat something. And back then, Chihiro was very hesitant to eat the food. So now the roles have reversed. Chihiro is now helping Haku. Haku is alone. And possibly scared to lose power. And he hesitates to eat this food. Because he's scared of losing that power, even though the power that he stole is killing him from the inside. One could say that Chihiro was previously scared in a more innocent way, and Haku is scared in a more sinister sense. Kamaji notes that that ball is indeed medicine from the river spirit. Again, that ball is indeed disgusting, but again, perhaps Haku is afraid of losing that power. But eventually he does swallow, and he coughs something up. He coughs up the seal. Voila! Then this evil worm thing comes out. Kamaji insists that Chihiro steps on that evil slug thing. The coal spirits help. The power of Panic's footsteps compels you! Splat! Kamaji notes that she killed it. Yet those things are bad luck. Hurry before it rubs off on you! Put your thumb and forefinger together. Then Kamaji says, "Evil, be gone!" and uses his hand to seal the, split those hands in half. And then Kamaji says, "Evil, be gone!" and parts Chihiro's hands. So this is indeed the very golden seal that Haku stole from Yubaba's sister Zeniba. Apparently that's as powerful as it gets. No wonder Haku was desperate. Haku transforms back into his young boy self. Haku is still recovering, and Chihiro wants to help him. The curse was on the seal, and Haku is apparently still dying. Chihiro wants to help him. Kamaji does his best to recover Haku, noting that the strong magic made Haku very ill. Kamaji also notes Haku had it hard on him. Kamaji notes that Haku had it hard on him ever since he got here. I think everyone's had it hard in this frickin' flipping bathhouse ever since they appear there. Something about the bathhouse gotta corrupt your character to greed. As the mouse and fly play with the footprint, Kamaji notes that he tried to warn Haku not to get involved with the apprenticeship with Yubaba to go back home, but Kamaji remembered Haku saying he had no home to return to. Okay, this moment with the mouse and the fly and these cool sprites, that's so cute. Kamaji notes that Haku had grown paler with steel eyes ever since he became Yubaba's apprentice. So, Michael Jackson? Chihiro has an idea. Take the golden seal back to Zeniba in exchange for Haku to be saved. Apologize to Zeniba on Haku's behalf. Chihiro feels she owes Haku one. Haku helped her, now she's gonna help him in return. Kamaji has an idea, yet it involves some sacrifice on his end. Chihiro asks the coal sprites for her clothes and shoes and socks, please. Let's just hope the turtles haven't been messing the shoes up. It seems Chihiro's going to have to sacrifice some time spent in healing her parents for just a little bit longer. One summer's day plays in the music again. Lin appears. Chihiro introduces Lin to her new friends. Aw, bless. Oh, there's the shoes. Apparently, Chihiro is in trouble for letting that strange guest appear. Lin reveals to Chihiro that strange spirit that's consuming all the food and the guests is actually a monster called No-Face. No-Face stated that Chihiro let him into the bathhouse. Chihiro innocently mistook him for a customer, but Lin insists that No-Face is a monster that's already swallowed 3 people. And now we see something that Kamaji's going to sacrifice for a little bit. It seems in this scene, 2 characters at least are going to have to give up something for just a little bit longer to help other people. For Chihiro, she's sacrificing what time she could have spent helping her parents in exchange to help Haku. And Kamaji here is sacrificing some train tickets so he can help Chihiro. No greater love than he who would sacrifice himself for his friends. Train tickets. Something worth more than gold in this place. I've just noticed that Miyazaki's love for technology done right is at play here with trains. In most of his movies, he'd usually preserve that for planes. Are automobiles next?
It's a cute wee smile.
Kamaji notes that he's been saving those 4 tickets for 40 years, presumably working a full decade just to earn 1 ticket. The train stop that Chihiro wants to go to is called Swamp Bottom, the 6th stop where Zeniba lives. Kamaji also notes that the train used to travel in both directions, but nowadays it's a one-way ride. This could also serve the film's themes of reflection, how people missed how things were in the old days. But perhaps with love and discipline, we could learn to adjust to the future. In this case, the fact that the train used to go back and forth could indicate that maybe there was more of a link between the human world and the spirit world in the past. Perhaps through the Shintoism perspective, it could harmonize. Perhaps through the Shintoism perspective, it could mean that there used to be a harmony between nature and man. But that way has been lost for some time. Perhaps there's a lot I could look into on the train ride, but perhaps I'll let you speculate on that. As for No Face, Chihiro will take care of the problem now. What's going on here? Lin asks as Chihiro comforts Haku that she will return. Kamaji notes, Kamaji says, it's something you wouldn't recognize. It's called love. It appears that working in the bathhouse for long periods of time makes one forget even the very concept of real love, because they're so indulged in selfish ambition, so indulged in greed, that they forget how to love and care for others. It seems that the bathhouse has this way of morphing people to their worst traits of greed. It turned Haku into a power-hungry thief. It turned Lin into somewhat of a workaholic who only looked out for herself. It made Kamaji feel quite closed off until Chihiro arrived. And as I'll explain in full detail later on, it completely transformed No Face from a quiet onlooker to an indulgent monster. No Face is getting bigger as we speak. Well, Chihiro caused this problem, now she's gonna fix it. It seems No Face is very insistent on seeing Sen. Yeah, I know Chihiro's work name is Sen, but I kept calling her Chihiro because that's her real name. Yubaba's glad that Chihiro's finally arrived. Yubaba, of course, is angry at Sen. She spots the mouse and the fly.
That's so cute!
Yubaba doesn't recognize that this mouse is her baby, and says, "Ugh, what's that filthy mouse doing here?" The mouse doesn't look familiar to her? Familiar? Don't be stupid. Just to confirm that there really is a twin sister scenario going on here. Sen confronts No Face. Her experience enables her to learn how to be calm in a situation like this. In a place full of an indulgent mess made by No Face, which in turn was unintentionally caused by her. Yeah, here we go. No Face insists that Chihiro too eat some food. Once again, No Face offers gold to Chihiro. No Face genuinely asks what Chihiro would want. Chihiro would like to leave. She has a place she needs to go to. Chihiro also insists that No Face go back to where he came from. Yubaba doesn't want him in the bathhouse anymore. Where is your home? Chihiro asks. Don't you have any friends or family? No Face lets his face sink in as if in shame or in pain, clearly showing a state of vulnerability. Obviously let his face sink into his body to hide the pain. Or at least attempt to, I presume. So does he have any friends or family?
No. I'm lonely. I'm lonely.
He's lonely. So, knowing that he's been feeling lonely this whole time, We can safely conclude that he's been overindulging to fill that emptiness from the loneliness he feels. He was lonely when Chihiro saw him in the bridge, and Chihiro was presumably the only person to acknowledge his existence. This gave No-Face a sense of purpose, someone to be kin with. This gravitation towards Chihiro as a friend or family increased when Chihiro allowed him into the bathhouse. And No-Face kept trying to win Chihiro's affection, to desperately solve his problem of being lonely. But once he found out that he couldn't quite win Chihiro's affection through the desperate measures he was using, he reverted to overindulgence. He tricked all the customers with the gold, feasting on the guests, feasting on the food, bathing away, and over time reverting to eating other people to fill that hole of loneliness inside. But the thing about greed is that the more you consume as a form of self-indulgence, the bigger that empty feeling grows. So No-Face doesn't solve his problem of being lonely. If anything, he makes it worse. I remember Robin Williams once said that the worst thing in the world is not to be alone, but to be with people who make you feel alone. The bathhouse is a place that indulges. The bathhouse is a place that personifies selfish indulgence. Everyone is after greed. Everyone's after power. But since everyone has a selfish ambition to the point where the bathhouse itself could be described as a selfish character in and of itself, this effect rubs off of No-Face. This effect rubs off on No-Face. He embraces this selfish nature to try to appeal to his selfish desires. Fill the hole. But it never works. No matter how much food he eats, he's still hungry for something he can't quite fathom. No matter how much gold he claims to give out, he's still as poor as any person working there. No matter how much company he claims to have within the bathhouse, he's somehow still lonely. Even when he tries to consume actual people to fill that people-sized hole, even a god-sized hole. He tries to fill it physically, but it never works. Greed and indulgence do not solve loneliness. It makes it worse. So what is it that he wants? Two-Face says, I want Sen. I want Sen, he says again. It seems that Sen was the only person that gave him a sense of meaning, a sense of family. He's very desperate to win her affection now. Chihiro correctly assumes, is No-Face going to eat her? Fortunately, Chihiro's new mouse friend bites No-Face's hand before he gets the chance to eat her. Self-explanatory. Ow. Now, this could lead to a lot of speculation as to whether or not No-Face is intended to eat Chihiro right from the start. Maybe No-Face wanted to eat Chihiro to fill that person-sized hole to begin with, and he was working his way through the bathhouse to reach to her. Or maybe No-Face was being quite genuine in wanting to find somebody to love as a family. And over time, the nature of the bathhouse made him indulge in his more greedy nature. I think that's up for speculation. But either way, Chihiro insists, if you're going to eat me, eat this. She offers him the medicine ball. She confesses that she was going to save this medicine ball for her parents, but she thinks that the rest of this should go to him. So she feeds No-Face this medicine ball. This will solve his greed problem, even if the process is a bit messy. And a little bit freaky. The medicine ball literally makes No-Face vomit out most of the food he'd been indulging in. Sen, what did you do to me? No-Face asks. The No-Face monster attempts to eat Sen, though I come to think of it, I think in his current state, even if he did get the chance to eat her, he probably would have vomited her out anyway. But either way, Chihiro makes a run for it. Yeah, time to go. Yeah, as if this film wasn't freaky enough already. So No-Face chases Chihiro. Zeniba's had enough of this nonsense and pulls off a Street Fighter Ryu on No-Face. Hadouken! Bam! But No-Face vomits. All over Zeniba. Chihiro seems to be genuinely wanting to help No-Face. Away from the bathhouse. Looking a bit like a gecko now. No-Face continues to chase Sen. As No-Face slowly starts to sound a bit more pathetic as he does so. Continuing to run downstairs, No-Face is slowly losing stamina. As he coughs up one of the people he ate, and then another person he ate. For obvious reasons, they're kind of in a dazed state of shock. No-Face claims he'll get Chihiro for this, even though he's barely able to breathe from all that running. Reverting back to his original state now, he's quite a slowpoke. Chihiro's barely running anymore, and No-Face is just barely keeping up. Just in a more pathetic state as he goes along. You are excused, No-Face. She comes outside, she meets Lin, who greets her in a boat. Another mode of transport. Lin takes Chihiro to the bus station. Bus station? Lin takes Chihiro to the train station. No-Face is barely catching up. Chihiro insists that No-Face follow her. Chihiro correctly confirms that she thinks the bathhouse made No-Face crazy. Chihiro correctly assumes that the bathhouse made No-Face crazy. Chihiro doesn't quite know a suitable place for No-Face to go, but No-Face follows nonetheless. Chihiro's quite confident that No-Face won't hurt her. Although there is one last person that No-Face has to cough back up. The frog.
Maybe I shouldn't have indulged in so much gold. Maybe the Muppet Land will work as well on a small budget. This piggy's not gonna like this.
Lin had taken Chihiro so far, but the rest she'll have to walk on her own. Lin insists that Chihiro comes back. Lin apologizes for calling Chihiro a dope. We transition to one of the most beautiful scenes in the entire movie. Arguably one of the best scenes ever made in movie history. We get this gorgeous shot, which looks as if Chihiro's walking on water. Messiah symbolism? That's a bit of a stretch. Lin is still quite cautious about No-Face, for good reason. But either way, Chihiro and her new friends make it to the station, and the train arrives on time. Sploosh! The train conductor asks for tickets. Chihiro asks to go to Swamp Bottom, the 6th station. Conveniently, there are 4 tickets. The conductor counts a 4th member. Chihiro, the mouse, the fly, and, Chihiro looks back to see, No-Face. Chihiro asks if No-Face wants to come with her. No-Face nods, now communicating back to his original sounds. The 4 tickets are accepted, and they get on board the train. What's so fascinating about this scene is that there's so much atmosphere put into it. All the people surrounding Chihiro and her new friends they look like literal shadows. How fascinating is that? That's often how most people would feel on a train ride. They're fixated on themselves and their company, and everyone else is a passing shadow, minding their own business. Miyazaki truly does have a wild imagination. As the scene plays out, we see how much Chihiro has grown as an individual. Her experiences of hardship have formed her into a more wholesome person, and she's ready to confront what else life has to offer to her. Gone are the days of her childhood. Onwards are the days of adulthood. And, well, teenagehood. Yeah, puberty's gonna be quite a journey. Chihiro invites No-Face to sit next to her, as long as he behaves himself. What an iconic image. Miyazaki has a reoccurring thing with children waiting patiently next to supernatural creatures. The rest of the scene is pretty self-explanatory. It's a moment of calm after so much chaos. A moment to breathe after so much frantic chaos. A good few minutes or so to think and reflect. This reflecting atmosphere is added by the very dreamy atmosphere of the reflective waters that expand to the horizon. The diamonds in the water. That house with the washing line and the tree on the island in the middle of this vast water. Something you'd see out of a painting or something. More hints of civilization. The shadow people get their bags. The solemn piano playing in the background. The train moves on for where the shadow people are departing. Chihiro and her friends look back and notice a little girl. This little detail's probably insignificant when compared to the rest of the story. Actually, I take that back. That seemingly insignificant moment is very significant. There's so much mystery and wonder surrounding this one girl that these friends and Chihiro, that Chihiro and her friends barely get a glimpse of as the train moves on. There's so much mystery and wonder surrounding this wee girl that Chihiro and her friends notice just before the train moves away again. There's so much mystery and wonder surrounding this shadow girl that Chihiro and her friends notice as the train moves on. There is a fan-made theory out there that speculates that the wee girl is the same tragic wee girl from Isao Takahata's tear-jerking masterpiece, Grave of the Fireflies. I'm quite skeptical of that claim. On the one hand, that wee girl appears to be a bit too old to be this wee girl who was a toddler, I would presume, in Grave of the Fireflies. But on the other hand, perhaps she's growing up in the spirit world. However you perceive this girl, she exists in this story. The sun sets and dusk appears. Floating advertisement signs appear outside. Neon lights. Two of Chihiro's friends are snug on her lap. It seems Chihiro has taken on the responsibility of a guardian now. Maybe this is symbolic of becoming a mother figure. Either way, this new determined look that Chihiro has tells us that she's matured deeply now. She's ready for what the future has in store for her as she looks ahead, not looking back, like she used to. She faces the future with confidence. Perhaps some uncertainty, yes. It's a probability that no human being could ever be 100% certain on what the future has to hold for them. And uncertainty can be a scary thing. But that doesn't mean we have to cower in our comfort zones. It could be a golden opportunity to rise above this existential opposition. Ground your beliefs on what is reasonable, and on what will make you more responsible and more empathetic towards others. I should remind you, Chihiro is setting out to help somebody. And in the process, she's also helped a few others. Whatever's ahead of her, she's not afraid anymore. She has overcome that indulgent part of herself, and has matured into somebody who thinks a bit more deeply about life. Now, of course, this interpretation is just one of many that people will think through as they watch this train scene. The beauty of this train scene is that it's slow. After so much chaos, it gives us a moment to think, to reflect. The atmosphere allows us to breathe. The artistic beauty in this scene makes us reflect on something bigger at play here. Something transcendent. Which is probably appropriate, as Chihiro is literally in the spirit world. Honestly, I could analyze so many things about the train scene, but it's best if you experience it for yourself. And just sit there in silence with Chihiro and her friends.